The ideas expressed in City Club forums are those of the speakers and not of the City Club of Cleveland, IdeaStream Public Media, or their sponsors. Production and distribution of City Club forums on IdeaStream Public Media are made possible by PNC and the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, Incorporated.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes, and welcome to the City Club of Cleveland, where we are devoted to conversations of consequence and help democracy thrive. It is Wednesday, December 10th, and I am Janice Contreras, the President and CEO of the Northeast Ohio Hispanic Center for Economic Development. I am honored to introduce today's forum featuring the one and only Valerie Mayén, founder and director of Yellowcake Shopping Clothing. It is part of City Club's annual Ronald B. Cohen Forum on Entrepreneurship and Innovation. In a world driven by fast fashion, mass production, and shifts in retail shopping habits, the fashion industry has faced its fair share of challenges lately, particularly for entrepreneurs and small businesses. Still, we cannot forget that disruption can present opportunities. How can this ever-changing landscape and generation of fashion entrepreneurs find success outside of runways like capitals of New York City and Los Angeles? Well, here in Cleveland, Valerie Mayén is remaining committed to sustainability and the art of handcrafted garments that fill everybody and every body. Valerie is the Latina female powerhouse behind Yellowcake Shop Fashion, where her unapologetic approach to representation and empowerment through fashion has earned her multiple accolades, including Crain's Cleveland Woman of Note, Notable Latino Leader, and Cleveland Arts Prize, amongst many others. Valerie grew up from humble beginnings as a student at the Cleveland Institute of Arts and an Etsy shop owner before gaining international recognition through her hit reality TV show Project Runway. She ultimately scaled Yellowcake from 0 to 6 figures without external support. Her entrepreneurial journey is filled with real-world lessons on creativity, integrity, and lived experience on how Northeast Ohio can best support entrepreneurs. Moderating this conversation is Rhonda Brown, the Senior Advisor of Arts and Culture with the City of Cleveland. She is the city's first arts strategist and a Shaker Heights native that brings over three decades of experience to her role. Before, Rhonda worked as a professional artist in Chicago and as the president of City Colleges of Chicago Foundation. A quick reminder, we are our live stream audience. If you have a question during the Q&A portion of this forum, you can text it to 330-541-5794, and City Club staff member will try to work it into the program. Now, members and friends of the City Club of Cleveland, please join me in welcoming Valerie Mayén and Rhonda Brown.
I love it. Bow that high. Valerie, I am so happy to be here, and I'm thrilled to be speaking to all of you in front of my alma mater, Shaker Heights High School. I am a Red Raider. Woo! Where are you all? Yes. Woo! So, Valerie, let's begin the conversation. Talk to us about yourself. Tell us who you are. Paint a picture for us about Valerie Mayén.
I love this question because if you don't know me, I'm a middle child, and I crave attention, y'all, like hard. So when they were like, do you want to speak on this stage in front of hundreds of people? And I was like, hell yes, sign me up, when and where. And there's lunch included. So real quick, before I answer that question, I want to let you all know, I know there's some kids or some younger attendees here in the room. If you have not heard me speak before, you're in for a real treat. So I like to use what I call fun, colorful language. Now, in America, people might say that those are swear words or curse words. And we're like one of the few countries in the world that really give a shit about four-letter words as much as we do. So if it really bothers you, if it really offends you, I used to apologize, but I'm like in my era of giving like 0 fucks about who I offend. So instead of apologizing for who I am and my authentic self and who I really want to be, like, I'm letting my hair down, y'all. I'm gonna give you the real on everything. We're talking like we're friends, okay? Like we're compadres, all right? So if this really offends you, like, I want you to count my fun words, all right? And I will donate $2 per fun word to a charity of your choice so long as it aligns with my mission and values as well. Now, those fun words could be anything. It could be bitch, ass, hoe, cunt, fuck, shit, damn, hell, whatever, all right? But I tell my kids the same thing. My daughter's actually here today. All right, I tell my kids the same thing. You can call someone a stupid poo-poo face and really mean it with like malintent, or you can call someone a bitch. What's the difference, okay? And she asked me once, she said, how come grown-ups can say bad words but kids can't? And I was like, that's a good question. And so I didn't have an answer for her. And I'm not saying that my daughters are off, spouting off wherever, right? But I'm not going to bring judgment
Valerie,
upon
come on,
them.
back to you.
Okay.
All right. Back to you. Okay.
So that's
Tell
the house
me your
cleaning.
story.
All right.
Yes.
So who am I?
Yes.
So I was born in Corpus Christi. I moved to Cleveland in 2001. I didn't know where Ohio was on the map. I moved here for art school. They were giving me the most money, and I was like, yes, please. And I became a fashion designer much later in life. So I grew up in Corpus Christi. My family is from Guatemala and Mexico. Very conservative. Yeah, all right, viva la raza. So my family is very conservative in the way they choose to live, but they're more progressive in the way they see the world and the way they vote. And so my parents were like, you want to be an artist? Like, you know, that was unheard of. Like in Latina culture or Latin culture, you don't leave your parents' house till you get married, right? And if you do get married, you better be marrying a rich doctor or a lawyer or someone with a lot of money. And I was like, I don't want to do any of that. I want to be an artist. And so my parents were like, you get a scholarship, you figure out how to pay for it, you can do it. And I was like, challenge accepted. So I got a scholarship, I came to Cleveland, and I left a little bit here and there, but I always came back. I went to California briefly for more art school. I went to Europe briefly for Italian boys, and then I came back to Ohio. And one thing that I learned was that Clevelanders really rally around their own. I had never really felt or seen so much, like, you know, like the Browns and the Guardians and the Cavs, like, you know, people are diehard Browns fans till they die. And what have the Browns done for them, right? Like, so I kind of felt like even if I won Project Runway or didn't win, Clevelanders still rallied behind me. They're just like, girl, you did something unique. You did the thing. Like, we love you anyway. And that really spoke to me. And so I didn't feel obligated to stay here. I felt, I don't know, committed, and I felt a sense of loyalty, and I felt almost married to Cleveland in a way that I didn't expect.
I love that. You've already answered 3 of my questions.
Okay, all right, great.
So, and I've counted 12 words, so let's keep count.
I gave her permission to rein me in too, because if you don't know, I have ADHD, so I will rabbit trail all over the place.
So I would really think that the audience would really like to hear about, take us back to Project Runway.
Yeah.
I watched your application video on YouTube, so if you get a chance, check it out. It's really very cute.
Yeah.
But just take us back to that experience in 2010 and talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So in 2010, actually 2009, I was approached by some casting directors. And at the time, I was selling my work on Etsy and on this website called Stars in Infinite Darkness. It was real emo and goth. I made no money. And they found my work and they said, hey, we'd love for you to apply. And I was like, this must be a scam, because who the hell am I that they are seeking me out? It was right after season 6, which is the lost season, when Lifetime and Bravo were having a lot of litigation. And so that season didn't air for a full year. So they were kind of like hell-bent on getting applicants. They didn't have that many. So they were like, yeah, we'll take you. I applied. I made it as an alternate for season 9. And when they approached me again for season 8, when they approached me again in 2010, I was hesitant because it's a lot of money. They expect a lot out of you. You have to go through rounds and rounds and rounds of applications and casting and interviews and psych evals. And it just wasn't worth it to me. But they were like, I promise you, you're a shoo-in. And I was a lot more comfortable with casting, so I was my total, full, dorky, nerdy, ridiculous self, and they loved me, so I got on. And I will say this, if you love the show, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's really kind of a game show disguised as a reality competition. the best player, the best designer never really wins. Sometimes they might, if they're lucky. It's usually the best game player that wins, and that is told to me straight from Isaac Mizrahi's mouth. Like, he gets the checks, he knows what he's paid for. So I really had to go through some like major healing after I did the show, because I really put a lot of my worth and weight as a designer in how far I got, right? And I got pretty far, but I didn't get far enough to like win or to be most memorable. Or to have my own shoe line with Payless, or my own dishware collection, you know, like Christian Siriano. So I think there's definitely parts of that that a lot of designers go through. I mean, half of us ended up becoming baristas, and the other half are still out there, you know, running the hustle.
Love that. Okay. So before we go any further, we have to talk about what you're wearing.
Okay.
So I'd love for you to stand up,
all right.
give us a little twirl, and talk a little bit about Valerie Mayén
Okay.
or Yellowcake. I don't know which piece
Yes,
you've got
everything
on.
is Yellowcake except for this one shirt that I felt like I had to buy, because I walked into this boutique that was really high-end, and I was wanting to get her to buy my pieces, but then she didn't like my pieces. So then I was like, I guess I'll buy something, and it was like the cheapest thing I could get off her racks.
Okay.
But the rest is all Yellowcake, and yeah, I was hoping I get to stand up, because I'm like, these chairs are low, and I'm like sucking it in. And okay, so I have about 10 pockets on me right now, just in case I need, you know, like parking ticket, phone, lip gloss, snacks, switchblade. Just kidding, I don't have any weapons, I promise. And what's unique about these pieces is that you can wear them everywhere. So that's kind of the mission of Yellowcake, is to build garments that women can wear in every facet of their life. So, you know, if you look at wardrobe for women, there's, you know, workwear, and then there's formal wear, and then there's casual wear, and then there's athleisure, and it's just so much fucking noise to put up with just to get dressed in the day, right? We already have to do so much, ladies. Why do we have to make it difficult to get dressed to do our jobs? So what Yellowcake does is we make pieces that you can wear on vacation. You can wear them on a girls' night out. You can wear them on a date. You can wear them to a formal function. You can wear them traveling. And we put all the pockets in all of our pieces, because that's, I don't like the word empowerment, I like the word emboldenment. Empowerment notates that we're giving you something that you didn't have. Emboldenment connotates that I'm helping you unlock something that you already had inside you. So we're emboldening you to do the job that you already do really, 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 really well.
Love that. Thank you for that.
Also, if I need to slow down for anyone, just like hold up your hand. I talk really fast naturally, but when I'm talking about things I'm excited about, I talk even faster.
So there is a quote I love, and Valerie is a really brilliant marketer and businesswoman, in addition to being an artist. And I kind of really appreciate that
thanks.
blend, because I feel like that is
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I do think
Oh,
that.
I think you're brilliant.
But there is a quote, without marketing, no one sees you. Without branding, no one trusts you. Mm-hmm. So how does that land with you and your practice and your business?
Yeah, that's a huge component of business in general. I mean, most consumers are going to judge you as a business regardless if you are Amazon or if you're the little guy selling on Etsy. And that's unfortunate, because a lot of consumers still hold the same expectations for us as a small business, even though we don't have the same capital, we don't have the same team, we don't have the same resources, we don't have the same visibility, because maybe we are brown people that are fighting against a system that wasn't built for us. And so it's really difficult, and a lot of times it feels very unfair. But the best thing we can do is continue to tell our story, to hit people over the head with who we are, what we do, and why we do it. And there's a book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And we talk a lot about, at Yellowcake Shop especially, about why we do what we do. And some people might think, oh, you make pretty clothes. And sure, yeah, we might just make clothes to some people, but I'm a firm believer that in what we do is we're manufacturing confidence in our clients. I've seen countless women and you know, female identifying individuals, non-binary folks, I've seen countless people come into our shop looking downtrodden. I had a woman, she said, I have to get this dress for my sister's wedding, but my mom says I'm fat and I don't know what to get, and I hate shopping. And she literally left our shop twirling. Like, she's 35, she was twirling at the fitting room. She's like, I love this dress, it's pink and has strawberries, I don't care if my mom hates it, I'm buying it. Because she was like, her countenance was different, her demeanor was different. She saw herself in the way that she wanted to see herself, with joy, with gratitude, with confidence. So I've seen multiple women become transformed when they put on our clothing, because they didn't know they could look that good at that size or feel that great at that age. And that, for me, is my why. And we keep telling that story time and again. Like, our clothes aren't just meant to clothe you, because, you know, you can't go walking around with your tits out. But, like, our clothes are meant to embolden you, to kick ass and dominate in your career, so you can get the bag, get the promotion, and take over. Right?
So I hear a lot of mission threaded through what you're talking about and your practice. You talked about philanthropy. Could you just share with us a little bit about your connection with your business, your practice, and philanthropy?
Sure, yeah, that's a really good question. So if you're thinking of starting your own business, definitely learn from my mistakes because I did some really dumb things when I was first starting out. So when I first started my business, I was really big into figuring out how could I give back, right? It took me a while to get to fashion because I was scared that fashion was a self-serving, ungrateful industry that was harming the planet and harming the people that built it. But when I learned about slow fashion and how we can employ our neighbors, how we can build things with intention, how we can build things to last, how we can move the needle in a positive direction for our industry, I was in love. And I was committed to the mission of doing what we do as a company, but I didn't know how I could still give back with making clothes. So when I first started my business, I was giving like 10% to like the food bank and city mission and homeless shelters. And my accountant was like, you can't do that. Because I wasn't giving 10% of profits, I was giving 10% of gross sales, and I was really dumb with my numbers. Once I learned about cost of goods and return and our bottom line and top line, and once I understood cash flow and all that good stuff, then I was able to really build my revenue so that I could do better things with the money I was building. Now, I'm not rolling in dough. Like, I still drive like a $3,000 Hyundai Elantra I got off Facebook Marketplace, okay? I live in a tiny, 1,100 square foot home. I DIY my furniture. But we give back to our community by giving of our time, by giving of our resources, by being a safe space for all inclusivity. I mean, we make extra small to 6X. We dress anyone that has a body and money to pay us. We don't turn people away. We serve trans clients, non-binary folks. We also are major advocates for speaking out against social injustices that we know directly affect our industry and people in our industry, Black and brown people, just anything that touches the periphery of who we are and what we do. And that's how we give back. And also, just being here, right? Being in spaces like this, talking to other students in schools, working with Raíces and working with American Heart Association, working with the Girl Scouts of Northeast Ohio. Literally, I could swing a dead cat and hit an organization that I would be happy to work with so that it can help us further our mission and theirs. And some people might think, oh, you just make clothes, but we make clothing and we've created a platform and built a business that also gives us that voice that we can speak out for others.
Love that. That's really important.
Yeah, it's so important.
So there are a lot of young people in the room, I presume, some that are interested in art, some that are interested in being business owners, some are interested in designing. For the emerging designer, what is the one or two most important skills that they should master? Creativity, sewing, understanding materials. Like, what do you think is an important skill for a young person that might be interested in this field?
You are gonna hate me so much, but it's math. It's totally math.
Interesting.
Like, if you don't know math, you're not gonna make any money, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes, like, and
Yeah.
and I love and hate math. I love math when like money's coming in my bank account. I hate math when it has to leave it. Okay. And I tell you this, like, get a really good accountant. Okay, don't skimp on that. I don't care if your aunt or your uncle or your sister's brother's cousin said, you can do this on the sly, you can do this under the table. Don't fuck with the IRS, okay? Just don't. Like, you don't want to go to jail. It's not worth it, okay? Pay your taxes. Karma's a bitch. It'll come back to you in tenfold if you do the right thing. So learn math because it's super important. I know so many young creative entrepreneurs that are busting their asses making great work, but they're not getting ahead because they're not charging enough, or they're not getting ahead because they're not buying wholesale, or they're not pricing their products properly because they don't know any better, okay? And I'm seeing it, unfortunately, predominantly in Black and brown communities, because we think maybe we're not worth. I've done it myself, y'all. I used to undercharge like a mother. It was so dumb. I didn't realize my worth, and once I started increasing the value of my products and really elevating my brand, hell, I didn't even have my own name on my collection, y'all, until like last year, okay? It was always Yellowcake Shop, because I was like, who the hell is gonna care about Valerie Mayén? I hid behind the Yellowcake Shop name for 15 years. And I just started my own collection under the umbrella of Yellowcake Shop called the Valerie Mayén Collection. And I felt real dumb about it. I was like, this is stupid. People are gonna be confused. No one's gonna buy this. It's dumb. And sure as shit, y'all, people are paying me $900 for a dress. A dress. Like, I never, yeah, right? We can clap for that. I'm proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. Like, I always assumed there was a threshold people were willing to pay for my work. And then I saw other designers doing things that I was like, I could never. And I was like, but could I? And so I tried, and I was pleasantly surprised. And now I'm just like, yes, I want to work smarter, not harder, because I'm too old to be this broke, and I have kids that I want to spend time with. And so as a creative entrepreneur, when you're just getting started, get a good accountant. Cleveland has a barrage of free resources, okay? Make sure that you sign up for any free resources that there are for you, for artists, for small businesses, 10KSB, Jumpstart, ECDI, WeBank, there's NABO. There are so many opportunities for you as a creative entrepreneur and a business owner. And then just make sure you know your math, y'all. Like, don't skimp on that, okay? Because that's super important. I mean, down to the penny of like, your time, the shipping, the packaging, the materials, shrink that you might get for, the employee that steals some shit, account for that stuff. And you'll be pleasantly surprised at how you can get ahead much faster than I was able to.
When you were going with the math area, I thought you were talking about like the measuring, like the
that too. That's
three
important.
quarters of an inch on a tape measure is very hard for me.
I know.
Like,
I'm actually very surprised at how little people know how to read a tape measure.
It's very difficult.
It's literally not rocket science.
And it matters with pockets. It matters.
Yes,
it matters.
pockets are important.
Okay, so you touched on this a little bit earlier when we started the conversation. You really could live anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You could live in New York, LA.
I mean, maybe not some parts of Texas.
Okay, fine.
But anywhere else.
Fair. New York, Paris, LA. What is keeping you in Cleveland? Can you talk about specifically what is keeping you in Clark Fulton, the west side of Cleveland?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and I'm gonna give you the very honest answer, and then there's not any trigger warnings, but if you've a child of divorce or if you have divorced parents, I might touch on that a tiny bit. So what kept me in Cleveland in the beginning was that I met amazing creatives, and so every time I would try to leave for some boy I met in Pennsylvania or some other school opportunity in California, I would get a grant from Cleveland. They'd be like, well, if you want this 20 grand, you gotta stay here for 2 more years. And I'm like, 20 grand? Jose, okay, 20 grand it is. And then, then I signed a lease for 6 years on a really great loft. And then I, met some other really great artists and started collaborating. Then I signed a lease on a storefront. And so every year it was something that kept me here. Usually it was a legally binding lease agreement, but it was also the people. Cleveland is super affordable. In some places. And it's pretty central to a lot of places like Chicago, New York, Philly, DC, a lot of places where we travel for Yellowcake Shop. But what's also keeping me here is my ex-husband. So, I have 2 kids. And I love them. They are my world. I would literally bury a body for either of them. They've not committed any crimes. Did we just say that on live? Okay, anyway, so I would not, but I would if they asked me to. And they are my world. And I'm gonna wax really mushy right now, but I've never felt the love and affection and joy that I have in my kids. People tell you that you don't know till you know, and I really, they're my best friends. Oh. Not I don't share my deepest, darkest moments with them, but they are just the coolest people I know, the funniest people I know, and I am so lucky. I don't deserve them. I'm so lucky to have them in my life. So because they go to school here, because my ex lives here, I am married to Cleveland until they turn 18. Or hopefully the judge allows us to relocate. So
i.e. you're staying in Cleveland.
Right, I am staying for a while.
Yes,
but I also choose to be here because Cleveland has chosen me, and I feel committed to Cleveland because of the things that I've been able to receive from the city. The Arts Prize, right? That was the big deal. The Creative Workforce Fellowship that I received twice in the early 2000s and mid-2000s. There are so many resources here that I think a lot of people don't realize that are so rich. The Foundation Center, it's almost hard for me to explain how much there is that people don't know about because there's still a lot of pockets that we could dig into to find more opportunities. But it would be foolish of me to leave to try to start over somewhere else new when I've invested so much time and effort into Cleveland and vice versa.
Well, we love you here, and we don't want you to go selfishly.
Yeah.
The creative economy is flowing and vibing, especially because of your brand here in Cleveland.
Thank you.
So we're really excited about that.
And if I did leave to say go to Norway, or Barbados or wherever,
you'd always keep a place.
Yeah, I'd keep my business would stay here.
Excellent. Okay, I have some rapid fire questions before my last one.
Okay,
So
I'll
this
try.
is kind of fun. Night out, sneakers or heels?
Heels, of course.
Okay.
Fashion over function, always.
All right. Saturday afternoon shopping, so vintage or thrifting, or bespoke couture. What stores are you going to?
I like vintage and thrifting.
Okay.
Because
Same.
it's like a hunt. It's like,
Same.
oh my God, I can't believe someone didn't know they threw away these Salvatore Ferragamo, whatever.
Great. On a cold afternoon, what's your favorite accessory?
A really great hat. A millinery is the one craft or art form that I'd love to get into, but it scares me. But I love it. So yeah, really great hats.
Hats are very cool. Paris or Brooklyn?
I've never been to Paris. I've been to Brooklyn, so Paris.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sewing machine or sketchbook?
Sketchbook for sure. I love sewing, but I also hate it. It's like love-hate.
Interesting.
My machine's like a real bitch.
Interesting.
She gets me on my worst days. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and the sewing machine's not mobile. Like drawing is, you can do it anywhere. Like I would love to crochet. Crocheters, you have it so easy. You can crochet on the beach, on the train, in front of a movie. I can't lug my, you know what I mean? I can't sew while I'm watching Netflix. I can't.
Runway or editorial fashion?
I would say editorial because I love telling a good story. And runways are so like pretentious and unattainable, and they don't really make you money. So.
Got it. Okay.
Editorial.
All right. So this is going to be our last question.
Oh my gosh, already?
It's the holidays. I kind of have a two-part question. If you could go back and do something different in your life upon reflection, through all of the things, whether it's Project Runway or any of the things, is there anything that you would change?
That's such an unfair question at the very last inning. Let me think about it. Okay, something I would change. All right, I did want to kind of get this in, but this might be a way to do this. So I always joke, my two daughters, one of them is very like by the book. She follows the rules. She doesn't like breaking the rules. She's very creative, and she's just like this ingenue of poetry and music and loveliness. And then my little one, she's kind of like, I'll take that, fuck this, I don't care. Like she's just like jumping off couches. She just does whatever she wants. And I always tell people that my older daughter is a lot like me when I was younger. And my younger daughter is a lot like me now. And I love both those parts of me, and I love both of those parts of them, and I can see them kind of evolving into different parts of me as well. And I think I didn't advocate for myself enough multiple times in my career. And there was one instance where at a meeting, a gentleman who I thought was my friend and an advocate, he looked me straight in the eyes and he said, "You are a failure of a designer because you have not brought industry to this town. And all you have to show for it is a rinky-dink shop." And I looked at him and I was like, can you repeat yourself? And he said, yeah. He's like, you went on a reality show twice. You have nothing to show for it. And for a second, it cut me, for a second. But I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm a classy bitch, and I'm not gonna give that any credence. And I knew that he was saying it out of anger and to dig at me. And I know what I've done. I know what I've built. And I'm not nearly as successful as I'd like to be. My bank account is not as big as I want it to be able to retire in Norway someday. But I know I've done impactful things in this city. I know that my daughters respect me. I know that I respect myself. And I was like, fuck that noise. That's nonsense. And so I think that's something that I wish I would have done differently, is advocated for myself more in that relationship and spoken up more, because I had a voice, but I didn't use it in the way that I should have, so that this person knew that there's no way in hell they could have talked to me that way in public. But I allowed it, and I won't allow it again.
Good answer.
That's a good question.
So my final question, and this is going to be really quick, and then we're going to move into the Q&A, is where can people connect with you to shop for your work for the holidays? It's the holiday season.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that if you need something, we know where to go.
Yeah, if you need something, please come to our shop. Give us all your money. This divorce doesn't pay for itself. So yeah, we are in Gordon Square. We're right next to Ninja City and the Wine Bar in between at 6706 Detroit Avenue. You can shop with us online, but I always tell people, if you're local, come in and try stuff on so you're not guessing, because I don't want you to be disappointed when you get the thing and it doesn't fit. And then, come by for your sister, your cousin, your aunt, whoever. We have lots of fun stuff. And then we will be hosting a last-minute holiday hustle market with Javon Terrence on the 20th and 21st. So for all you stragglers.
Where is that?
That's going to be at our shop.
Okay,
Be
great.
at our shop it's a Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have other vendors as well. We'll have hot chocolate bombs. We'll have jewelry. We'll have candles. We'll have wine. So don't buy your gifts at CVS, please, for the love of God. Don't do that to your family or your loved ones. Come shop with us, all right? And we'll take care of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Valerie.
Yeah,
Valerie
thank you so
Mayén.
much.
Good job. Okay. So we're about to begin the audience Q&A. For our live stream audience, I am Rhonda Brown, Senior Advisor for Arts and Culture with the City of Cleveland and moderator for today's conversation. I am joined by the illustrious Valerie Mayén, founder and director of Yellowcake Shop, and discussing her entrepreneurial journey and what it takes to be successful in the fashion industry in places like Cleveland. We welcome questions from everyone, City Club members, guests, students, and those joining via our live stream at cityclub.org. If you'd like to text a question, please text it to 330-541-5794. And City Club staff will try to work it into the program. May we have our first question, please?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Abby. I wanted to ask you, how do you look for your resources, and how do you know when something is good or sustainable, and how do you look for ethnic or ethical quality?
Okay, that's a great question. So it can be difficult, especially as a young independent designer, to find the resources that you need and to make sure that they are credible, ethical sources. You can start with a couple different places. There's a company called Good On You. There's also another company called Garmentory. And so sometimes they have information about what's trending, what's new, what's acceptable. I always tell people too, you might be tempted to go the way of buying everything organic and everything Okotex certified and everything, GOTS, which is a lot of fluffy lingo for organic shit. But I will say this, do your research, because a lot of, and I'm not just saying this because we use a mix of all the above, but a lot of organic fibers use a lot of water, and synthetic fibers do not, so they have a similar environmental impact. So whereas synthetic fibers are gonna take longer to break down over time, yes, that's true, and that sucks, and microplastics are the devil, but cotton fibers, natural fibers, they break down faster, so you have to buy more of them over time, and they require much more maintenance, they require more water to create, and so they're very equal in terms of the playing field of how they break down, how they're made, and their impact on the environment. So I'm a big proponent of being a realist and not a purist. So get organics where you can, buy dead stock where you can, use upcycling when you're able to, buy synthetics and leather goods and longer lasting materials when you're also able to. And that's what we do at Yellowcake Shop. We combine as much as we can because we see the benefit of using leather because it lasts a long time and it has a perceived higher value and it's great. But we also use faux leather for our vegan friends who just can't stand the sight of leather, but it's also plastic covered in petrol, And then we use organics, we upcycle, and we offer a buyback program and free repairs to the life of our garments. So that's how we commit ourselves to sustainability. It's not just by buying everything that's ethical in the ethical world, it's by doing the most that we can to make sure our garments last as long as possible. And then Google. Google is your friend. AI, you guys have it so good. AI is a genius, so use all the tools at your disposal and then ask. Find the ethical designers that you like, send them a DM, shoot them a message, offer to pay them for their time if you can afford it, because they get pinged a lot for that, and then find out what you can find out. Right, yes.
Hi, my name is Noelitza, and I wanted to know, how did you come up with your name? And have you ever considered changing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Yellowcake Shop was the name that I came up with in 2009 when I was thinking of selling on Etsy and I needed a name. And I wanted something that was fun and interesting, but that also, so I went to art school for illustration. I was a painter and a drawer. And one thing I learned in art school, $100,000 worth of education taught me, was that you really want to draw the viewer in. You want them to pause. You want them to be slightly confused or curious about the work. Because there's, if they're in a gallery and they're looking at tens of thousands of other portraits or paintings, you want yours to stand out. And so I figured Yellowcake Shop was whimsical enough and different enough that it might confuse people a little bit, but it would cause them to pause and ask, well, what is Yellowcake? And oh, that's different, Yellowcake Shop clothing, what is that? But it's really a metaphor for who we support. So there's fast fashion and slow fashion. Fast fashion is Target, Shein, all the terrible stuff that's mass-produced and built to not last at all, and it smells like gasoline. And then there's slow fashion. That's the stuff that we make. It's making it by hand with intention, making sure that it lasts a long time, building it for the people that are actually going to wear it, and it's timeless. And so slow fashion is meant to really help the people that are building it and help the planet and the people that wear it. And so Yellowcake is kind of a metaphor for who we support in our industry. In fast fashion, a lot of brown and black people are the ones that are marginalized, especially women and children. If you look up Rana Plaza from 2013, it was the building that crumbled to the ground in Bangladesh, and it killed thousands of people. And it didn't need to happen, but it happened because we as consumers want fast fashion, cheap and quick and now. And they all died for it. And that doesn't have to happen. And so Yellowcake is the underdog of sweets, right? It's the forgotten stepchild of desserts. You won't find it on any menu at any fine dining restaurants. But we love Yellowcake, and we support the underdog. We are the underdog. We serve women. We work with primarily single moms, refugees, and people of color. And we serve the community, whoever comes through our door. We treat them all the same, whether their bank account has $100 or $100,000.
I love Yellowcake too.
And I have thought of changing it. I changed it slightly to the Valerie Mayén collection, so it's Yellowcake Shop and Valerie Mayén. It's like Midge and Barbie.
Hi. When you had a smaller shop, did you ever think that you would have a big shop?
That's a great question. I did not think I would ever have a bigger shop. When I first started my very first show, great, thank you for asking that question. That was so brave of you. When I did my very first retail pop-up show in Philadelphia, I drove all the way to freaking Philadelphia to sell my stuff. And I made $1,200. The booth fee was $400. My gas was probably $150. And to me, $1,200 was a lot of money. I was like, yeah, I made it. But I didn't understand that I really hadn't made much money because of cost and all that good stuff. But I had no idea that I would have a storefront, that I would be on this stage, that I would be on a reality show. I had no idea. I used to watch Project Runway myself, and during Leanne Marshall's season, I was dating this guy. Actually, it was Jose, the one in Pittsburgh. I was dating him, and we were talking while I was doing my drawings, and he was like, someday you're gonna be on that show, mijita. And I was like, okay, whatever. And literally, sure as shit, 3 years later, there I was. And I was in a cab on my way to Parsons. I went in the room. Tim Gunn was there. It was not a dream. I was there. Wow. So yeah, I just kind of kept one foot in front of the other, and just kept my head down and did my work. And because I love it and I'm good at it, I just kept at it. Someone once told me that if to be successful, you do the same thing in the same city for 20 years, see what happens. So for me, it's been almost 16. So let's see how it goes in 4 years.
Hey, friend.
Hey.
We're so happy to have you in membership with us at Plexus.
Love it.
And I see my other friends in the entrepreneurship space, 10K Business and Hispanic Business Center, who we share you with, some custody of you. What do you need those of us in the entrepreneurship and small business ecosystem to know that you need, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or what are we doing that we think is great that you need us to cut it out?
Oh, that's such a good question. Thank you for that. I love that you opened that space for me to share. So, okay, oh my gosh, let me count the ways, y'all. Okay, one thing that I would encourage you not to do, especially when you're working with artists, y'all, okay? Couple things, when you go to the dentist, do you haggle on the price of your crown or your root canal? Probably not, the price is the price. When you go to Nordstrom's or you go to Saks, are you really going to barter with the sales girl and ask her to give you 30% off because it's too expensive for you? So with any artist or any designer or anyone you shop with at a market this year, please, 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 for the love of all things good in the world, do not haggle with them. We will allow you to haggle sometimes, some of us will, because we need the money. It's better to pay the bills than not, right? But I really fucking hate it, really. I had a woman in Chicago who was bartering with me over a harness that she wanted to get in vegan leather because the real leather, she was vegan, and she didn't want the real leather. And she was like, well, but it's vegan leather, so it shouldn't cost as much. And I'm like, girl, it's the same in labor. It's almost the same materials. I gave her every concession, free shipping, no tax, 5% off for leaving a review on Google. And still it wasn't enough for this bitch. And so I will tell you, I had to walk away. I had to let my sister handle her, and I had to walk away because I was ready to punch her in the throat. Because my work is good. And for her, she was a friend of one of my clients. And if my client hadn't been there, I would have been like, then don't buy it. You can leave. Don't buy it. Okay, so do not do us any favors, but don't tell me you're doing me a favor by supporting my small business, okay? And then, complain later because UPS lost your shipment because you didn't pay for the insurance. So please be kind to your small business creatives. Don't haggle with them, and don't bitch them out whenever your shipment gets lost because you had to have a rush order to you because you forgot to buy something for your aunt. So that's my 2 cents there. The thing that we need as a business is we just need more visibility. We need you to share our posts. We need you to comment on our posts. We need you to come into our shops when you say you're going to come in. We need you to share us with your friends and your rich, cousin in New York. We need you to help promote our brand because we can't do it all by ourselves. We really rely on a lot of word of mouth.
What is the price range of your products? How do you decide and justify that? And then how much of it goes to people you work with?
Oh, sure. So our staff gets paid. I'm the mid-range, actually, so I'm the CEO, and I pay myself $55,000 a year. I have no qualms about sharing that with you. I'm a big proponent of being open and transparent about money, especially the money I make at events and the money I pay myself and my staff. And my staff make anywhere from $39,000 to $45,000 depending on their position. We also have some contractors that work from $15 to $20 an hour. Our sewists typically make $16 to $22 an hour depending on their efficiency. And we pay a piece rate, not an hourly rate, because Alveda, who's a seasoned sewist, she can make a coat in 6 hours. Brittany is gonna take 10 hours for that coat because she's a novice. It doesn't feel fair to penalize Alveda for being efficient. And we need to be able to regulate our pricing, so that's why we pay a piece rate. But we're paying well above the national average. We're probably bringing in about 10% net profit, which is not bad. This year, I'm not so sure if we're gonna make profit, but we're not losing money, but we're probably gonna make profit. Because it's been like a shit show every year. It's just all over the place. I usually can calculate and predict what money we're gonna make based on last year's data, but this year's just all over the place. So to justify our prices, our price range, Yellowcake items typically ranged from $184 to $600, depending on the item. So jumpsuits and dresses, $184 to $214. Coats, typically $414 to $654. However, I was pricing my products at the time for the Cleveland market. The Cleveland market's very conservative. When I would go to Chicago, DC, and New York, they'd be like, oh my God, your stuff is so cheap. And I'd be like, did I say 200? I meant 300. So now I've learned how to price my garments based on a global and national model, not just on a regional model. And I base it also on our COGS, our cost of goods. So I look at our labor, I look at our shipping, I look at our materials, I look at any shrink or attrition, I look at our staff time to pack the products, I look at our materials, I look at everything, and we have our costing sheets to deduce that. Now say, like these pants, for example. These pants cost me about $30 in labor because there's a zipper and there's lots of seams and 5 pockets, and it cost me about $12.75 of materials. So that's what, $42.75. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna add another 10% for any miscellaneous fees that I'm not considering. And then I take that and I multiply by 2.3, and I take that and multiply that by 2. So that way I have a wholesale markup if I need it, and then I have wiggle room in case, what's her face is gonna try to undermine me and haggle for the price. So I have room to go down if I need to. So usually my net profit my net profit revenue per item is around 60%. And that's how I've calculated that. So I'm telling y'all, math is important.
Yeah,
okay?
Math, very important. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. Thanks, first of all, for coming and speaking to all of us about Yellowcake and your experiences as an artist. I'm a fan of the arts. I consider myself an actor at heart.
Okay.
As my favorite form of expression, and I do have kind of favorite plays and favorite pieces and favorite monologues that I've done over the years. I wanted to know, I know this is probably a tough question since you've made so much, but do you have a piece that you've made, a piece of clothing that you're just really proud of that just stands out for you?
Yeah, so when I first started making clothes, I started with accessories and outerwear. Outerwear was actually first because I could not find a good coat. I came from Texas, y'all, okay? And it is so cold here. So cold, but I've gotten used to it. But when I first moved here, all I had was this really shitty blue North Face puffer from Goodwill that my mom got me, and it was 10 sizes too big. And I remember I was going on this really hot date with this medical supply salesman named Mike Mystic, that was his real name. And I went to Charlotte Russe to buy a whole new outfit. This was before I made clothes. And I had this really dumpy coat. And so he came to pick me up, and I looked really, really hot, but you wouldn't know it because I was wearing this stupid coat. And I just remember thinking to myself, I should probably get myself a new coat or a better coat. And I couldn't find what I liked anywhere in department stores or traditional settings. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna make coats. I'm gonna be really great at it. And I read a book by Manolo Blahnik, and the guy that makes the really expensive shoes. He was a theater person before. He was a costumer. And his mentor told him, find one thing that you love and become the master of that one thing. So I was like, coats, that's it for me. I'm going to become the master of coats. Because I noticed that when I was selling dresses on Etsy, I was selling like one dress a month. Because women, as women, we like don't want to be seen multiple times in the same dress, right? We don't want to be a repeat wearer, although we should. But with coats were like a purse that you wear. It was a utility product. So I knew that my clients were willing to spend $400, $500 on a coat, but they'd only spend $150 or $200 on a dress. So I was like, ding, 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 the math is mathing. So I started making coats, and I was selling one coat a day on Etsy. And then I was like, this is working. So my coats are probably what I'm most proud of. But there's this one accessory that I started making a couple years ago, and it's our crossbody harness. It's a leather harness that comes across your right boob. One of my clients calls it the tit sling. She's not wrong. But it's like instant pockets. So we've got fanny packs, we've got purses, we've got backpacks, we've got all kinds of bags, ladies, right? But this piece is my favorite. It makes up about 1/10 of our annual revenue. It looks good on almost everyone. It's adjustable from an extra small to a 6X, so anyone can wear it regardless of your boob size. And we even make a plus size version. We make it in 7 colors, and real leather, and faux leather, and cotton. And you've got like a pocket here, you've got a pocket here, you've got a pocket here. My sister puts her coffee in hers. I can put like my phone, my passport. When I'm traveling with my kids, I have all like my passport, everything with me in the boob pocket. And it's great because you're not having to dig through your purse when you're in a parking lot and you're scared you're going to get, like abducted. So, you have everything on you. And it's, Erica has one. She's wearing one right now, actually. Erica's wearing one. You can stand up if you want to. You don't have to, but she's wearing one. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And then you can, there you go, okay. Yeah. And then there's like a phone pouch. There's a phone pouch there, and I'm really, really proud of it. Like, so proud that I might spend the 20 grand to get it patented. I don't know yet. But I'm just proud of myself because I consider myself an engineer when it comes to fashion, because you really have to think about how it lives in the world. Like, how are you going to get up and down the stairs? How are you going to sit in it? Can you walk in it? Like, how do you get in and out of it? And I really think about how our clients live with our products and how I use them and how it can benefit. Like, how does it further my life and my goals? And that's probably my proudest piece. And it makes me a lot of money, so I love it. Yes?
So not exactly sure how I want to word this, but in regards to sustainability, obviously fast fashion is not great. I do everything in my power to not shop Temu, Shein. I actually refuse to shop those two specifically, but with Amazon and Target and all those, in this day and age with how expensive everything is, like, how do you try to, help make things still affordable, or what do you suggest is something that we should do? Because, like, if we can't afford things that are obviously better for the environment and for everyone, but everything's so expensive, like, any help there, any suggestions?
You're like, help a sister out. What do I do? Yeah, so I think that's great you don't shop Temu or Shein, and for those of you that do, don't feel bad about yourselves just yet. I mean, you can, but it's up to you. There's so much you can do, and you've probably heard some of this before. Clothing swap is a great way to start. I always tell people, shop your closet. We only use about 20% of the wardrobe in our current closets, and the average American has over 330,000 items in their home. So maybe just start purging what you can. Obviously, don't just like trash it. See where you can purge it thoughtfully, and don't kill yourself over doing it. Like, send what you can out to those places like Retold, and I think there's another one called Rewaste. And then send things to thrift stores if you can. They're overloaded, but send them to the ones that are taking donations. And then do a clothing swap with your friend if you have the time and the capacity. They're actually really fun. Just make sure everyone knows they can't leave all their shit at your house when they're done. And then get things altered when you can. Like, if you find something you really love in your closet and you're like, I love it, but I haven't worn it in ages, or my mother-in-law bought this for me and I hate it, but what do I do with it? See if you have a friend that can sew, or try to YouTube it yourself, or take it to a tailor or a seamstress, or some dry cleaners have alterations experts built in, and see if you can get it altered so that you can wear it or you want to wear it. And then another option is just to save, right? So like, I'm a big proponent of selling what you got and working with what you have, right? So like, I don't make a lot of money. You know how much I pay myself. And like, I built an Airbnb in my basement. I have a tiny ass home, but I built an Airbnb, and it's paying for my mortgage and hopefully for some of my divorce. And like, I really am doing the most, right, to use my resources that I have already available to me to maximize them and monetize them where I can. So, if you have stuff in your closet you're not using, or stuff in your home you're not using, or you have a skill or service you can offer after hours, like your 5 to 9, not your 9 to 5, then try to monetize that where you can until you can't anymore. And you're like, I've done it, it's good enough for me, I've pocketed a little bit of change, I'm gonna put that in, investing. Oh my gosh, this is a rabbit trail, I apologize. But if I say anything to any of you all here in the audience, especially if you're young, Invest, invest, invest. I'm not paid by Charles Schwab. I do not have any affiliations with any financial firms. But my parents, they are immigrants. They kept their money in shoeboxes. My dad is barely retiring now at like 65. And they didn't teach my sisters and I about investing. And when I learned about it, I was like, holy shit, how come no one's told me about this? And it's because it's often been gatekept from women especially. It's not as hard as it seems. You do it early and often. You can use Acorns, Ellevest, Robinhood, any micro platform to invest. $5 a week and it will rack up and you'll have a nice little nest egg in 20 years. So that's my biggest piece of advice, aside from selling all the old shit in your house that you don't use anymore. And then having a clothing swap with your friends, and then you can pocket some change and dig and hunt for those sales. Like, we have a whole pre-loved rack in our shop. Because we have a buyback program, so we allow our clients to bring back their pre-loved items. So say Michelle bought a coat from us 5 years ago and she just doesn't wear it anymore because now she's making lawyer money and she doesn't need a purple coat. Or maybe she got pregnant and she gained some weight and it doesn't fit her anymore. She can bring it back for credit, and then she can use that credit to buy new pieces, and then we sell her pre-loved pieces at half of the rate that it was purchased for or less. So you can shop the pre-loved racks of your favorite designer. You can find the piece that you love and set a goal to save up for it. Or you can buy from maybe mid-range shops. Because if you're buying better pieces that's better quality, you're buying fewer of them over time. And then thrift stores are great, but I will say with thrift stores, caution yourself, because like if you're like me, everything has potential. So I end up like leaving with a bag of stuff, and maybe I make 2 things out of them, or I wear 3 things out of that. So just set yourself a budget, go with cash only, and only buy what you have cash for. Does that help? Okay, and then if you want to know more about investing, call the guys at Tempo Wealth or Luma Wealth. It's a woman-owned financial firm. Or even look online. There's a really great podcast called Girls That Invest. Simran Kaur, she's from New Zealand, but she's Pakistani, and her parents taught her how to invest when she was 12. By the time she was 26, she had bought her first home, and she was a millionaire at 27. So I'm saying, y'all, you can do it. You can out-invest me, because I'm 44, and even if I invest $500 a week, you will be able to out-invest me because you'll have time on your side. Compound interest will help you if you don't let it hurt you. All right, any other questions? Oh,
Hi,
yes.
my name is Omani, and I was wondering, what was it like to be mentored by Christian Siriano?
So I wasn't mentored by him, but I was mentored by Tim Gunn, and he was great. He was so, so great. He actually gave me his cell phone number. He texts me sometimes on my birthday, and he's like one of the few, like I will say this, in this room here, I don't publicly spout this off. Heidi, Nina, and Michael were all total bitches. They were awful. They were just awful human beings. Like Heidi would sing Another One Bites the Dust every time we were about to go on the runway. Like, we were exhausted, our dreams were about to be crushed, we were so scared, and she was just like making fun of our demise. And Nina just couldn't be bothered to even lift a finger or open her eyelids. So Tim was like the one of the cast, of the celebrity cast, that was really humble. Like, he rode the subway to work still, he checked in on us, he was fantastic. The second episode, something that people don't know, is in the second episode, it was in the summer when we were filming, and they turned the air conditioner off whenever the cameras are rolling because they're too loud. And so during the runway portion that you guys see is maybe like 10 minutes, but for us, it's about 6 hours. And so we're on the runway for about 4 hours with critiques, and so sometimes the models have to sit down because they're ready to pass out. But it was right before my critique, and it was the one where I made the red dress, the Marie Claire challenge. And then all of a sudden, there was like a lot of commotion in the corner, and someone was like, "Get an ambulance!" And Tim had fallen over from the heat because he was wearing a 3-piece suit. He'd fallen over and he hit his head and he was bleeding. Oh boy. And then I was worried, but I was also like, shit, they're gonna cancel the show, and like I'm gonna have to go home, and like I'm not gonna get to be like, I was like so nervous. I was very selfish of me, but that was my first thought. He was okay, but then that's why you see him wearing a Band-Aid on his forehead in the next episode. But yeah, he was great. He was a phenomenal human, and he's so kind and gracious. And he definitely didn't steer us wrong, but there were some moments where I was like, Tim, really? But yeah, he was fantastic. Yes.
My question is, what is success to you, and what is your current goal?
Ugh, I love that question. You are wise beyond your years, Chica. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think success to a lot of people means, 7 figures and a big bank account and the capacity to, buy whatever you want and rub elbows with, the best and brightest. And I think for me, success looks like not having to unload at a pop-up shop during the holidays. And success looks to me like being able to trust that my staff can work an event for me and I don't have to. Success means that I have freedom to do what I want. So hopefully I do have a bigger bank account in the next 5 years. and I can soar on my own, and I can do life on my terms, and I can decorate my house the way I want, and I can talk about the things that I believe in to teach my children. That's what success looks like to me, is paving my own path. And I think, I didn't touch on it before, but why it's so important for me to help women further themselves is because I know a lot of women especially stay in situations that don't serve them because of fear or because of their insecurity of capacity. So I grew up in an abusive home. My mother endured a lot of abuse when I was a kid. I was as little as 2, and I was 17 when I left. And I didn't just leave because I wanted to go to art school. I left because I wanted to leave. I wanted to get out of there. My parents are still married, and they are in love as they're ever going to be. My dad is definitely a changed man, but he used to be a real son of a bitch. He was a real animal. He was a heroin addict. He was a coke addict. He was an alcoholic, but he hid it really well, and he grew his own business. He was very successful, but he had my mother under his thumb, and she didn't believe she could ever leave him because she didn't have the resources. He was very good at reminding her that she had no skills. She had no workforce training. Who would hire her? She would lose her children. And she didn't know what to do. She was 15 when she got married. And I saw it in my mom so many times, this fear, this lack of security and confidence that she could do it on her own. And so she never left. And a lot of women do that to their own demise. And it's not their fault. But when I see women put on our clothes and they tell me, they pull me aside at a Polish festival and they say, "You're Yellowcake, right?" And I say, "Yeah." And she says, "When I wear your jackets, I negotiate higher for myself. When I wear your jackets, I land the deal." And that, to me, speaks volumes. So that's why I do the work I do. That's why I'm so committed to helping women find their own place in the world and find their own, it sounds cheesy, but their own power within themselves, because I think it's possible. And I'm doing it myself. I was kind of a little bit of a liar the past few years, a chicken shit to kind of strike out on my own and leave a marriage that didn't serve me. And I'm proud of myself for doing it because it was, and it is still really scary. I have children, and my family is not here, and I have a business, and what are people gonna think, right? But I really don't give a shit anymore what people think. And success to me looks like being able to move into my new house, have an orange trash can and colored handles on my cabinets and checkered tiles, and build my life the way I want. And that's success to me.
Thank you so much, Valerie and Rhonda, for joining us at the City Club. I'm Cynthia Connolly, Director of Programming here, and forums like this one are made possible thanks to generous support from individuals like you. You can learn more about how to become a guardian of free speech at cityclub.org. Today's forum is the annual Ronald B. Cohen Forum on Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Mr. Cohen's firm, Cohen & Company, continues to thrive after more than 40 years in business and is grounded in helping its clients, employees, and community be successful. Mr. Cohen's vision and passion have continued to drive success in Northeast Ohio and nationally. This forum was established through a generous gift from Cohen & Company, the Cohen family, and Mr. Cohen's many friends and supporters. Thank you so much for being here, all of you. The City Club would also like to welcome students joining us from Campus International School, Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School, and Shaker Heights High School. Thank you all for being here. And we would also like to welcome guests at the tables hosted by Cohen & Company, Friends of Shar Fowler, Goldman Sachs, 10,000 Small Businesses at Tri-C, the Northeast Ohio Hispanic Center for Economic Development, and Ron Cohen's family and friends. Again, thank you for being here. Up next at the City Club this Friday, December 12th, we will be talking about artificial intelligence, or AI, as a force multiplier in education. It's going to be a little different combo than I think people expect. 3 leading experts in the nation will explore AI's role in accelerating innovation across learning environments and how we can design schools of the future. You can learn more about this forum and others and get your tickets at cityclub.org. Thank you once again to Valerie. Make sure we get you a free speech t-shirt. And Rhonda, and to our members and friends of the City Club, this forum is now adjourned.
For information on upcoming speakers or for podcasts of the City Club, go to cityclub.org.
The ideas expressed in City Club forums are those of the speakers and not of the City Club of Cleveland, IdeaStream Public Media, or their sponsors. Production and distribution of City Club forums on IdeaStream Public Media are made possible by PNC and the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, Incorporated.